Welcome to the edition today on the Mindset Spot. And it is a spot where we discuss how mindset change across the continent can actually happen. It's a great pleasure for me to join you today. And we are going to be discussing opportunities with mindset change, especially with youth taking center stage. But before we kickstart, let me just put in perspective a few days ago, I saw an interview of a known figure being asked about the criteria they use to make their national political decisions. Simply, the question was why they would choose one candidate over the other. The answer they gave was somewhat unexpected. While we hear all the time that people should make their choices based on competencies, proven track record, and passion of the candidate, this person simply said that their decision was based on how much they like the candidate. It further clarified that even the most impressive candidate in terms of competencies, in terms of track record and passion, will not get their vote if they do not like that candidate. So I decided to dig further on the broader subject of how people make decisions. And according to new research, it turns out that all decisions we make as human beings are informed by emotions. We use emotions as an appraisal tool and as a guide for behavior. It turns out that it is not enough to have mental knowledge. It is not enough to know what to do. It is necessary to feel it. So the study further added that up to 95% of cognitive actions happen in emotional brain. The study added that when individuals damage the area of their brain where emotions are generated and processed, even if they're still capable of using logic normally, such individuals struggle to make decisions. When you look at the entire African continent today, we are faced with a barrage of challenges: the fuel crisis, the food crisis, and on top of this, the financial crisis that millions of people are suffering. And also in a continent with a population of over 60% being young people. And paradoxically, 60% of these young people are unemployed. So the question then becomes, what do we need to do to address the multiplicity of challenges? Youth unemployment, food insecurity, environmental degradation. We need then a new perspective, but a perspective that is grounded and premised on reality, one in which we need a reimagination. And therefore, the discussion we are going to have today with young, innovative volunteerism actors who, in their own right, are doing what they can do. They are moving away from the blame game and actually facing it head on to do what they can do, using what they have, not what they hope to have. And these debates will continue because under the changing climate and under the crisis we're facing today, food, fuel, and financial crisis, we can no longer do things the same way and expect different results. It is with this that my guest today, Mr. Isika Emmanuel and Mr. Bulade, joins me live from Nigeria. Welcome, gentlemen. How have you been?
Doing
Hi,
well, sir.
nice to meet you. I'm doing well, doctor. And how are you doing too?
Excellent, Bulade. How are you?
I'm doing well too, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for having us here again once.
Excellent, excellent. There is already excitement that is streaming in, and people are connecting from Ghana and from Kenya here and across the continent, waiting to hear what we're going to discuss today. And the discussion today is going to build on where we ended last time. So if I could start off with you, Isika, from the discussion we had last time, it was about how do we change our mindset as citizens of a continent that is faced with a barrage of challenges to start using what we have to make progress rather than just complaining. So, what have happened since then, and what are the vibes you are getting wherever you are from young people on how they are seeing the challenges in the continent and what are they doing about it?
Wow. Thank you so much, doctor. And even the last time this was stated that one thing we need to do to change our mindset is to acknowledge that no one is going to help us. Yeah, because the blame has to shift from the government, from the education, from family to self. Why? Because everyone that started actually starts with what they have. So basically, you use what you have to get what you want. I will cite an example. You have $1 million idea, and what you want to do is to go into production to help refine the food industry. And then what you have currently isn't finances, isn't wealth, but you have the knowledge of making briquettes, making charcoal cheaper. And then what you need to do is to use that knowledge you have, make that briquettes, get it done, get that production started. Now, in the process of getting it started and selling out there, what you do is as you begin to share what you've achieved, as you begin to share your ideas, your passion, your talents, you begin to attract the right set of people to you. So that is what we mean by using what you have, and this cuts across all line of business, being that IT business, being in the manufacturing business. You start with what you have. I will cite this example. I read a story. This is the true life story of a first class graduate who graduated from one of the top universities, and then for years he did not see job. 3 years, 3 good years, there was no job and there was nothing. And what he started doing, he started doing agriculture. And then he joined LinkedIn and he started sharing his story. He met with few friends and told them, share my story online. I'm a first class graduate, but now I'm in production doing agriculture. And what happened is that a month later, he was picked up and then he was sent abroad to study his master's and PhD, everything paid for. And today he's lecturing in one of the top renowned university, even as a doctor. I will cite another example. Another example that happened, I think this was last month, was a student that passes through all his exams with A1 parallel. It is called WAEC in Nigeria. And then he could not afford to go into the university. And then he used what he had. That is social media. He shared his story. And then a news picked up his story and he got interviewed. And then he was picked up by one of the popular celebrity, Davido. And today he's in school, pay one of the top school in AU. So you use what you have, no matter what you have, it is enough to get you what you want. So what that idea is, you start local first, and then you begin to progress into going global. And doing this, you are going to amass, because all you just need from them will just be time. Thank you so
This
much.
is really great, Isika. I mean, thanks for that perspective. The reality is that there is a kind of a conditioned mindset of people, especially young people, and it's not their fault, because if you look across the entire African continent, I think even when we were growing up, there are very few role models who could speak truth. And sometimes speaking truth looks like it's a bad thing, which to me is actually an unfortunate thing that happens to the continent. Instead of trying to tell people, look, the realities we face today are not realities that are new. Our forefathers, our founding fathers went through the same. But they used what they had then. They had no internet. They had no interconnectivity that we can sit here and connect with people in Europe and the United States real time as we are doing now and connecting the world. But then they still continue. Thank you for that perspective. Then to you, Bula J, when you listen to Isika, he is making a case here and showcasing you very practical examples of people who have used what they have instead of complaining, and they have moved to other things and opportunities have come. What is your take on this perspective? Because sometimes we forget to know that if we do what we can do with the little we have, it can open doors for us. But instead, we focus on what we don't have, and then doors keep closing. What's your take on that?
Yes, I thank you very much, sir. So I actually support what he said, because a lot of times we spend, especially I notice nowadays some youths, they spend a lot of time thinking about the problems, like thinking about the problems itself, and not actually making progress with what they have. So like he said, like Emmanuel said, like we have to start with what we have. So take for example, now if you want to do, let's say you want to do a particular job, or you probably want to do like content writing. If you don't have a laptop, if you don't have a iPad or something, you actually have pen and paper wherever you can start with. So it's great that and it's important that we learn that instead of us dwelling on the problem itself, we should dwell more on how we are going to solve the problem, and we should start with what we have and we continue from there, sir.
Yeah, that's really true. Start
Yes,
with
sir.
what you have and continue from then. I can see here Marcel the Desai saying start with what you have and build a coalition of the willing.
Yes.
Starting with what you have is really the reality. But one of the difficulties is that truth seems to be a bad thing. I don't understand why. Where when you speak truth, it's not listened to. People say, "Where do you talk?" That one with the job. But that is where we have to start. So why is it so difficult that what is supposed to be done sometimes not get listened to? To you again, Bolaji, before I get to Isika.
Okay. Uh, I think basically, like we mentioned earlier, like on the previous time, that it's mindset. Like, and at times it's not only the mindset that boils down to one's personal choice, like the mindset around now. Take for example now, like recently now, I've spoken to some people, and their mindset right now is that they should run away from the country. I remember that literally another brother of mine, were talking and we are chatting, and he was like, if I have the opportunity to go out, I should just go out. And the things the way Nigeria is, and is to an extent on his own side, he has what he has seen, he has what he had gone through that is making him go that way. But let's say you exist in that kind of environment whereby everyone around you are saying, they are not saying the problems, they are not solving the problems. Before you know, you start imitating what they are giving you out. It's just like they say that a rich man among poor people is also a poor person. So no matter how rich you are, as long as you are still in the midst of poor people, you are still not making, you are still not representing the value you ought to represent. So I think that's one of the major reasons why people, although the instructions are simple, although the instructions are, do this, start with what you have, do, make use of everything that you have with you, but basically I think it's because of the environment itself. If there's so much negativity around you, no matter how, it keeps on entering your own mindset, it keeps on. If you don't have enough fortification in your mind that, okay, let me promote positivity from within, the negativity will definitely rub off you. Then you start saying that, okay, you too start saying, oh, the country is bad, the leaders are not doing this. Then you start shifting your own problems to the leaders, and you start saying, okay, like there's this thing recently that happened recently, that I was walking by, and so people were saying the fact that uh the rich people are only keeping the money amongst themselves, things like that. And of recent I learned that even the rich, the poor, everyone has their own problem. And the funny thing is, the greater you become, the greater your problem becomes. Like for every stage in life, everybody faces through something. What matters the most is when you are growing, is that your ability to solve those problems. Like how quick are you able to react? Well, once the problems show up, how can you take over? How can you take charge at that present time? So that's what the environment, basically. That's why I see most people don't really, because they are so surrounded with people with negativity, that they themselves, they never get to go in a positive way. So I
I
think
think
that's one of the major reasons, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, you've nailed it. And before I get to Sika, I mean, the point is this, because these are real life situations we're discussing here. This is not fictional
Yes, sir.
science here or some kind of entertainment we're making here. No, we are facing head on a problem that is eating deeply into the society, the African society, and it's actually causing more problems because we continuously get infatuated with negativity, and at the same time then it weighs on our shoulders and we become powerless. And then, like you rightly said, the circles in which we find ourselves in are actually centers of whether we can make or break. And in this case, if you surround yourself with negativity, you continuously get drained and become more negative and become powerless. And this is a very, very big issue. And then the solution, as you say, is we need to start thinking beyond that and moving away. So who you surround yourself with matters. And if you look today, most of the time people blame government and you see it like a chorus in a choir. Yes, government not to do this, government not to do that. Government. Then you then ask the question, what is you as an individual doing? Because you are also a citizen. You are
Yes.
also a citizen. You were born in that country, you are born in the continent. What are you doing? And when you ask, Nobody answers that. So to you, a seeker,
Yeah.
how do we break these ice with the attitude that what cannot be done should be done by others, and that we should complain about it without necessarily playing our part? And like
Okay.
Bula has said, negative influences are actually fomenting the negative mindsets that cause people to negate truth for convenience. And Marcel Desailly, I just project this, have actually alluded to this. And I think this is really, really, really something that we need. What is your take on this? And before I get to that, Evelyn is saying that tapping into your energy, Richard Munang, he said, I hope one day I'll be able to get a one-on-one with you. You inspire me a lot. Thank you very much, Evelyn, and she's actually listening from Toronto, Canada. And I can see
Awesome.
Marcel Desailly saying, watch the company you keep. Bad company corrupts good morals. Yes, Esika, bad company
Oh,
corrupts. And you see, why I'm really trying to dig down to this is that this is what is destroying society. And we cannot shy away from digging deep to this. How do you think we can address this? Bad company corrupts morals and drains energy. How do we get ourselves out of this?
let me build from what has been said so far. One thing is when you run away from problems, you are going to end up with negative people. I'll repeat that. When you run away from problems, you're going to end up with negative people. So I want us to do a raw practice of this. Talk about in the chat, talk about where you see yourself in years' time, where you want to be. Talk about what you have now. And then do a breakdown on how you can get to where you want to be using the resources you have. Because this is not motivation. These are things that people have done. These are things everyone on the call has done. These are things that people have done and where you can do it. So as I said earlier, when you run away from problems, you end up with negative people. Take a look at this. You're complaining the country is bad. And the next solution you think about is running abroad, running from the immediate problem you are facing. Because the country is bad, because you don't have job here, you're running to only God knows when. And what happened when you run there? Most people who runs there on that mindset based on there is no job end up with even much bigger problem to where they go to. So when you run away from problem, you end up with negative people. So what do? You want to excel. Yes, you want to excel. You must tackle your problem first. You must tackle your problem first. Let me cite an example. The chances of someone who is well to do in his current country going abroad to flourish is 99% higher than someone who is in poverty and not well to do and going abroad. Why? Because even when you go abroad, it is called value. Value. Money is attracted to value. Yes, you are running because there's no money in your current state and you're not doing anything. You're not adding up. You're not building that momentum, that value to be able to address your current need. When you run out there, you will still face the same issue. Yeah, you might think you are making more because the wages, the currency is higher than your country. But in essence, you are suffering. Why? Because you don't have the right value. And what people pays for, be it employer, be it your customer, be it anybody, is value. So the question will be, how valuable are you? And a proof that you are valuable is that you're able to solve your initial problem with what you have. A proof that you are valuable is you are able to solve your initial problem with what you have. So we are complaining that the country is not good. But the question is, have you identified what is lacking in the country? You don't need to go broad. Don't go broad. Going broad is not realistic. See, I do tell people, you tell me you want to change the globe. Start with changing yourself. Start with changing your community. Start with changing your friends. Start with changing your neighborhood. Before you know, you're going to enlarge to your states. The biggest companies today, the set of Uber, which is known globally, they started with San Francisco in the US. They started there, and today they are global. All big companies today, you see today, they started with a locality. So you want to build something that is global, you must start local. There's no gimmick, there is no lies about it. So the truth is, I told my friends, I think this is last week, that the more problem there are in a country, the more your opportunity for you to succeed. The more problem there are in a country, the more opportunity there is for you to become a success in there. Why? Because when you solve that problem, you're going to become recognized, you're going to become known, you're going to become wealthy, you're going to become someone of meaning, you're going to impact others, you're going to transform lives. And this is what humanity is all about. Humanity is all about making other people's life better. And you can't make other people's life better until you solve problems. So
That's,
solve
I mean,
problems.
look, you guys, I mean, are quite very, very exciting, not just in what you say, but on how you say it, on how practical this is. And you've touched a word that is quite very, very important, but is not discussed oftenly in the continent. And I actually think when I see young people like you guys try to dig down to the problem and propose solutions, I mean, it becomes exciting because it is not like some people who are not in the space where there are challenges talking, but you are in the places where there are challenges, you're talking based on your experiences and based on what you are doing. You've mentioned value, and value is everything. It's what you can offer. Value is currency. Nobody, like Bola said, even rich people have problems. Everybody have problems. And unless you are bringing a solution, nobody will listen to you. But before I get to Bolaji, Esika, I just want to build on this. If this is the truth, and that's the truth, why is it not being spoken? Why a false narrative that we can fool our arms and things can be done for us, which is a false? Why are there false narratives that when we get a degree, then automatically jobs will come to us, even if we have not retooled our skills to be ready to provide a solution to a challenge? And that value that you offer to turn a challenge to an opportunity is what brings money. Why are these narratives silent, and only the perpetuation of negativity seems to always be on the high? Why? How do we get ourselves out of this quagmire?
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think for that, the problem is not with the masses. The problem is with the few successful people. The problem is not with the masses that are poor. The problem is with the few successful people. I will cite an example. If you go to social platform like LinkedIn, what you see is, congratulations, I just got a job. What you say is, congratulations, I just got a PhD. What you say is, I just got an intern. The success story. Nobody grows by hearing your success story. No one. So you are successful. What people want to know is, what is the process? Because it's the process that makes people, not the success. So I think it's with the few that are successful. Those people that are successful, all they do is they post their recent travels. They post the recent flight tickets, the expensive flight, the expensive cars, the expensive meals, the paying jobs. And then they did not tell the masses how they got there. So now this creates a mindset in the masses that, okay, and then this other thing is they motivate people. Yes, they tell you, if I get it, if I can get to this place, you can get there. It's motivations. You understand? So like it's just that, and that motivation, people begin to, you wake up 10 times per day, you look at yourself in the mirror, I am better, I am going to have 1 billion in my account. And then you keep looking at yourself, professing these motivations. And that's just what the few successful people do. But then it is now on each of the masses who have come to this realization that what makes people successful is the process, is to learn about those few people that are sharing the process on how they got there. And this is where true mentorship comes in. You begin to search for people that have made it, people that are where you are, and then you begin to learn what they did to get there. And then you begin to apply exactly what they did, because it's a principle. When you apply a principle, you are going to get the result. Principle are universal. So that is it. For them,
like
if there is principle and universal. So if there is a successful person out there listening to this, what I want you and what I just implore you to do, what I'm begging you to do, is talk more about your process and not about your success. Talk more about your process, how you got here, how you starved.
Exactly. Esika, let me just jump in here. I mean, you are bringing up a very important point. If you look, I have said social media is a blessing in disguise. At the same time, if we don't use social media effectively, it's actually one of the most dangerous weapons we have. And I will repeat it. I said, if we don't use social media effectively, but if we use it effectively, it's one of the biggest blessings that have happened in the 21st century. And you have just cited an example of LinkedIn where success stories are actually shown, but people don't explain the process. You are shown how you are in the plane. That's a good thing to do. It's not a problem. You're showing how you got it in. That's excellent. But how did you reach there? There were challenges. Why don't we take time to explain challenges and opportunities in challenges that can make people know that to rise to the top is not easy? One spends sleepless nights reading. You spend sleepless nights to submit assignments. You read for presentations. You prepare for speeches. But when you give a speech eloquently, somebody thinks that you are just born to be like that. That's a false narrative. And I really love this aspect. Before I get to Bola G, because you're saying something here that I think is a false narrative that we need to start debunking. False narratives have been made to be the truth, which is a lie. We are told easy stories, not the hard parts. We make people to see only positive, and then they forget the fact that before you get to the top, you need to have value, and value needs sacrifice, short-term pain for long-term gain. And now with this narrative that have been ingrained in young people, especially, and now they know that life needs to be easy, they then have someone to blame. Government is not doing enough. We need then to be given jobs, which is not true. Jobs are not given. You need to seize them with the right skills. So now with this quagmire in which we are in now, what message do you tell those young people? And then from here, I'll go to Bolaji. What do you tell them? You've already explained it. We need to understand processes, but they run away from processes because they don't see immediate money. What do we need to do for those young people? 1.4 billion citizens listening and those elsewhere. What can you tell them now?
Okay. When you see Dr. Richard today, let me use Doctor as an example because it's a good example. What do you think? You see, I think I saw.
You see someone wearing a kofia, wearing a hat,
and
they think that the hat was just like that. I was born to be like this, right? They don't understand.
Yes, I think when I saw Evelyn say I want a one-on-one with doctor, I think no one will believe that doctor volunteered for over 3 years.
Correct.
Without a single earning before collecting his PhD.
Correct.
What we see is doctor that is the deputy director to the UNEP of Africa. Doctor that is being featured in all over the news. But is that what it is? No one is going to see that doctor spent sleepless nights trying to read on hunger and then trying to prepare even when there is nothing. Doctor, I think people do not know that you even trek on leg to school.
Exactly.
In your days. Indeed. So these are the process. You understand? What you're seeing right now is the story, is the glory. So what you need to do is to ask, like, doctor, what is your process like?
I think
can you mentor? Can you teach me?
Exactly. I think Esika, you've said it all. And now to summarize what you've said, that's why I wrote the book Making Africa Work Through the Power of Innovative Volunteerism. And if you read that book, it documents my story, where I grew up, how I grew up, the challenges I went through, and how the determination from seeing my mother's crop fail and suffering and going to school, which is a normal thing for so many kids across the continent. But that determination is actually what makes you succeed, but it doesn't matter where you come from. And I documented that process so that we can inspire young people to see it. But the truth is, how many people read the book? It's free. It's on there on the website to be downloaded for free. I didn't write the book to sell. It's out there in the open, and it's a very rare thing to see. I'm not here marketing anything, but I'm speaking truth. But they don't read. And so your point, you nailed it. And just before I go to Abula J, I see some inputs here. Let me just show them off. I think a colleague is saying here that that I have excellent dance skills. Yeah, I do dance. Actually, it's a skill because I learned how to do it, so I sacrifice, right? Yes, and my contribution. Yes, guys, I see you guys are excited with the aspect of dancing. It's also a skill, so you need time to practice how to dance. It's not just something. I was not born as a dancer. I learned, so it takes time. You make mistakes and you learn through it and then you perfect it. So he says, my contribution is that a lot of African youth have a poor nation building mindset. And this is the problem in Nigeria. I think it's the problem of Africa. Thank you very much. That's true. I think Marcel Desailly says that while grass may look greener in neighboring yard, it is hardly the case. Focus instead on creating value wherever you are. Yes, that's what you and Bolaji have said. That's very true. I think Marcel Desailly again says that one must master local markets and deliver value locally, and that's how a foundation is built. That's true. I think another comment is that a lot of our youth only think of personal success and quite little about collective and common good, and that's really true. And false narrative of embracing product and shunning process is one of the biggest Achilles that limits this. Yes, let me get to you, Bula. The comment that a lot of youth only think of personal success and not about collective and common good is very true. And I think it builds on what Isika is saying. They don't want to understand process, they want to rise up to the top. Why? Because they only think about themselves. It's only about them getting to the top. And the getting to the top is for them just to feel good. It's not about solving anything in society, solving any problem. How do you see us getting out of this? Because from what Isika is saying, they don't want to understand the process. And honestly speaking, we are not here to entertain people. We are not here to entertain people with lies. We are here to speak truth to power. And what is the truth to power? How we can change our mindsets to turn Africa's challenges to opportunities. Africa is actually sitting on a gold mine of opportunities. West, which is wealth. But people need to learn their skills. There are lessons online to be learned. You go to YouTube channel, we documented this, where you are retooling their skills and they're turning waste into fuel briquettes into butter. How many people are learning? They don't want to learn, but they complain. So, what do you think can be done, Abulaji, building on what Isika have said?
All right, thank you very much, sir. Personally, like when I think of it, I believe people need to start seeing it in a way as personally, the way when I think of building myself, when I think of personal success, I don't see it as a success that is for me alone, because I've come to realize during my short years upon this earth, I've come to realize that you actually get a better joy. You actually feel more fulfilling when you do things for others rather than yourself. The life that we've been given is not entirely fulfilled. Like I remember listening to someone earlier today, and they mentioned, I think that was Dr. Miles Murrow, that mentioned that the fact that if you've not done something that is internal, that if you've not lived your life and creating something that is internal, that is not actually a life worth living. So like, even though when you are on earth, like when you start to see that whatever you do, ensure that whatever you do lasts for long, like even be after you're gone upon the earth, as long as it's still creating value, that's like a true joy for me personally. I remember coming home, I think that was 2 days ago, coming home, and I saw some people, and my mind was like, this, okay, how can we help this? And that's the true, I believe that's like one of the true essence of humanity, whereby we live to a point that we don't live for ourselves anymore, then we live for others, and that's where we will actually achieve true joy. Because if I had to think about, like Solomon now in the Bible, he had every single thing. He had wives, he had concubines, he had money, he had wisdom, and he got to a particular point. He actually said everything is vanity upon vanity. Like, if he has such a great success for himself that he got to a point so that everything was just, if you don't live for others, if you don't come to the, like, I believe people themselves, once the moment we still keep ourselves in that selfish mindset, although at times some people do it unconsciously. That's why I appreciate these platforms, that we're able to push to other people, because some people, they don't actually know. Some people is like out of, not because of ignorance, but because they don't actually know. Some people, they just think that success is just something that will just make you feel big, like what my lovely friend said, the social media. So because they saw that someone was driving like a big Ferrari or something, so they think that's like their own point of success, that they just have a big car, a big house and everything, and they don't actually have the privilege or the joy of doing things for others. And I think that's one of the big things of success, whereby so I count success as not just you being great, and not just you being reaching that point whereby you desire, but success is a point at which what you become starts helping other people. What you become start reflecting in other people's life. What you become is something that people can look up to and also replicate to affect and build other people's life. So that's why platforms like this, I believe, needs to be spread across, spoken to other people, and other people, like, we will not give up in our, should I say, preaching our messages to others people, because like they say, a constant drop of water breaks the rock and everything. So if the moment, although some people might not choose to hear at this present point, but when they start seeing that even in the lives of those that choose to hear, those that choose to attain that success mindset, the true success mindset, not the fact that you wake up today, then you can say, you have 1 billion. You have 1 billion. I see it as, if you have 1 billion in your account today and you don't touch a single soul in that day, you are not living a life. Like, you are just living, you're just passing through, the eternity, you're just passing through time. You're not actually developing something, you're not doing anything. Even, and like we said earlier, when we say start with what you have, it's not necessarily that you have 1 million in your account. It's not necessarily that you have 50, tens of thousands in your account. It could just be a single bottle of water. Give to your neighbor. Do something. Do something, like, value. Like, a lot of things happen that, even, and the funny thing is that even you doing that alone can actually bring a platform better for you in the future. Like, take for example, now, the kid you bless today, now we shift the blames of, the country is bad, this that, we shift it to the leaders and everything, but we forget that even the little things we do in our homes matters a lot. Take for example, now, if you give, let's say, a kid that you saw on the street is starving, give the kid something. Now the kid will be happy. The kid will know that it's not, although the country, maybe the government or something is doing somehow, but the person beside him is favorite to him. That gives him another fighting chance for the other day. Now, when the child grows up, he knows that, automatically he knows that his mindset is already shifted, that no, what this person did for me, if this person hadn't done this thing for me, if this person haven't out of his own life given me this, I would have not had this opportunity. And this person to also want to replicate that good onto the society. And that's how a better society is built. Like, when we ourselves are actually built personally, when we give time to self-development, and not just a selfish mindset of whereby success or growth is just for yourself. It's never for us. It's something that should span generationally. And I believe it's our duty that we keep telling others, and we keep, it's not just speakers of our word, but doers too.
Exactly. I
Yes, sir.
mean, this is wonderful. You've touched three aspects, and the reality is that we must be purposeful. And what is the purpose of life is to be useful. And what is our usefulness? Our usefulness should be to touch other people's lives. And you don't touch other people's lives depending on how much you have. Just actually picking that waste, those plastic bottles from your neighbor, and gathering them and trying to go to the internet to learn how do I recycle those plastic bottles so that at least they can be turned to pavement ties, so that at least they are not going to choke aquatic life in rivers or in oceans. You're solving a society problem. Just learning to understand, especially now where prices of fertilizers have increased, to turn waste to fertilizer so that communities can be able to access and our mothers can access it at a cheaper price. That's touching the lives of communities. And I think this is quite very, very important. But society have been met, and you gave an example, which I think is very important, to think that what we see, that elusive mentality, and I call it a kind of a bubble thinking and mindset that social media has brought. People tend to focus just on what social media shows. They don't tend to focus on the aspect they can learn to better their skills from social media, which is actually, like Esika said, connecting with people, because your biggest world is your net worth. It's your
Yes.
network. It's your network. And your network is your net worth. And what is your net worth? It's about the world. And what is world? Knowledge, connections, having access to people that can be able to give you information. That means you are more wealthier. But this is not the narrative that is out there. And so I'm really excited to be hearing this perspective from you guys with practical examples on how young people can change their mindsets. This is quite very interesting, guys. Let's take a break. And then when we come back, we'll actually look at how do we now move forward using what we have, knowing the kind of continent we are in with challenges and the attitude of complaining and blame game. How do we now start to continuously push this positive messaging, regardless of how fast it's being picked up, but do it in every place we are, in supermarkets, in shops, in farms, in schools, in churches, and continue to push it? And how can we make that become a groundswell that can have that critical mass to keep pushing it? We'll be right back.
Yes.
Yes, and if you are joining now, it is the Mindset Spot, and we are having a very interesting discussion with these amazing young men, innovative volunteerism actors, Bulaji and Emmanuel Isika. I mean, these guys are debunking the aspect of mindset change that everyone in the African continent today needs to listen to and become part and parcel of engineering that spirit of how we can move away from blame game, complaining, and start to become solution providers. And again, with me is Bulaje and Isika Emmanuel. Guys, honestly speaking, you guys are spitting fire here on this topic of mindset change and how we can seize opportunities. Before we went on break, what I was saying is we from what you guys already said, it's very clear that there is that continuous lack of self-belief. I would say it that way, that we cannot even believe that we can do something with what we have and that somebody else needs to do it. But now with this discussion, we are using social media here to communicate solutions, to debug what many people think is the norm, and abnormality has become the norm. We are trying to debug that abnormality that has been made the norm so that at least it can become the exception. And we are doing this using social media. Now, moving forward, what do you think it will take, given the fact that, let me use this word, there are mindsets already contaminated with this belief that life is easy and life is supposed to be a place of ease, which is a false narrative. With this belief that even if I don't build value, and I think, Isika, you said something earlier, which is very important, that, and I have also argued this, those who succeed when they leave their countries would have still succeeded if they were in their countries. And I give an example of myself. I studied in Cameroon, and I got a scholarship to go and study in England. And when I went to England, I scored first class. It was not by chance. It's because I came there. I was already a hardworking student in Cameroon. And when I went there, continue with the hard work. So this mentality that if you are not hardworking and you are not seizing opportunities where you are, and that if you go somewhere else, you will succeed, is a lie. It's a lie. And people tend to embrace it and try to project that image that is easy to succeed elsewhere. You are also going there to compete with people who are citizens from that country.
Yeah.
So how on earth do you then think that it's easy elsewhere and that those who are there, they do that? So how do we start to debunk these narratives that have become so entrenched in community? And as I said, we are not here for any applause. We are here playing our part as global citizens, debunking a misnomer that has eaten so deep into society, which is a false narrative that life is easy, that things can be done for us. Over to you, Sika.
Okay. I would say this: life is hard. Every man is for himself. I'll say this again. Life is hard. Every man is for himself. The sooner you realize these two statements, the better for you.
Repeat the
The
statement
sooner
again.
you
It sounds like the theme of this discussion today. Repeat it again.
so life is hard and every man is for himself. The
Life is
sooner
hard
you
and every man
realize
is for
this,
himself. Perfect.
the sooner you realize this and you digest this, allow this to settle into you, the better it will be for you. What happened when you realize this statement? When you realize this statement, your mindset is going to change. How you approach life is going to change. Relying on family is going to change. Relying on friends is going to change. Relying on the government is going to change. Relying on society to make your life better is going to change. And then you find yourself working harder and harder and harder to make it and make your life better, make all people's life sustainable. I think I said these exact statements around 2 days ago, and people were like, why do you say this? Like, we just have to call our uncle working in a top company, or for example, let's say a friend is working with Microsoft, or let's say Shell, one of the top oil companies in the world, and then is the CEO. And because he or she is your friend, what you need to get a job is just to put a call. You will be disappointed. In short, you will be highly disappointed. Why? Because that friend cannot take you to a position that is of high responsibility if you don't have the equivalent value. The friend won't take you up there, won't bring you up from the pit, won't take you to where he or she is if you don't have the appropriate value to dispense. Because when preparation meets opportunity, the impossible becomes possible. When preparation meets opportunity, the impossible becomes possible. You see somebody today, and then the
Just
person
stop there,
tells you,
Ezeka. That's very important. When preparation meets opportunity, impossible becomes the possible. This is very, very important, and I'm not cutting you short. You will continue, and that is actually what is called luck, because luck is when preparation meets an opportunity. And that has been misconstrued in the continent to think that, oh, let's fool our hands. No, you're lucky. Yesika, you got that job because you are lucky. I mean,
no.
what you are saying is preparation meeting an opportunity makes impossibility become the possible. Please proceed. What an exciting conversation.
Oh, thank you so much. I will give myself as an example. I remember I started with a company and I was earning 5,000. And then after 2 years, I'm earning over millions of naira, making one of the top earners in Nigeria. And then what actually happened is that during that process, I was preparing and then opportunity met me. And before you know, the impossible came. And then when people see and they say, this guy is lucky, and I laugh. And I say, no, this guy is hardworking. And what happened? Grace found me. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Because when you begin to prepare, you begin to build that value chain, you begin to build that network, you begin to become the best in what you are doing, even with the little resources you have. It's just a matter of time before opportunity comes. You see, according to a wise man, they said something. He said, opportunity meets everyone twice. Opportunity meets everyone twice. The first time you might not be prepared to earnest it, but then the second time you are expected that you are prepared and you are ready to grab it. You are ready to grab it. One of my friend, Mayokun, the founder of Club in Nigeria, last week he was in US for 6 weeks with the Mandela Washington Fellow. And then people were like, Mayoko is lucky. And I just laughed because I knew his story. He applied for this fellowship 3 times, 3 good years, and he was rejected. 3 times, 3 good years, and he was rejected. And people said he was lucky, and I smiled. I said, no, he put in more work. He was consistent. He began to labor in what he's doing, fighting for climate action, to make change with even the little he has, increasing probably Nigeria to over 20 universities in Africa. And then that fellowship picked him up. And today he's in the US. It's not luck, it's preparation. So what we need out there to make this change is that we begin to prepare. We begin to prepare. We begin to create that value chain individually, and we begin to add value gradually to ourselves. Before you know it, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And I'm going to end with this story. I went for a job interview. I think this is 2017. And when I went there was a lady I saw from one of the top universities in Nigeria, Covenant University. And then the lady graduated. And at the end, I told the lady, I'm not going to take this job because this is not something my long-time goal, my long-time vision is in sync with. Yet the job was paying far away, I think twice what I was earning then. And then I told her I'm not going to take this job. And she said something. She said, Emmanuel, I give you 1 to 3 years. He said, if you did not become someone renowned, if you did not build that momentum, if you did not make it, he said, I'm going to question you. 1 to 3 years. And then at that moment, she worked, I think, 5 years in that company. And in that space of 5 years, she was able to secure a land, even out of struggles. And then in the space of 1, 2 years, I did what she did twice. What happened is that during that aspect, I prepared. I told myself, what I need is not resources. What I need is just time. Give me time. Give me time. Because time is just everything. Because that is simply what God gave us. God said when he gave us to this world, he placed us with the right family, in the right place, in the right community. He did not miss. And everything he gave us is time. Time that you will become renowned, that time that you make meaning of your life. And it's just that. And then I begin to attend this, and it's not just me. Everyone out there you see today, it's just the same thing. All they had was time and preparation. And then what happened? Opportunity meet them. So if you can do this, you begin to move consistently, build up in what you are doing. I can tell you, within a matter of short while, it may take time, but then when your opportunity meets you, people will call you lucky too. Thank you so much.
Wow, 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 wow. I think one of the things you said that I would like to really build on is you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. And preparedness is what makes the difference. Because when you are prepared and an opportunity arises, you actually will seize it. And that is called luck. But this is not a kind of messaging that is actually drilled on in the continent for people to understand that we have to be prepared. Preparedness is a very big issue. Meetings are called, or people don't even read the agenda. They get to the meeting and they're opening and asking, oh, where is the agenda? What is to be discussed? So what are you there for? I mean, brochures are sent and books and reports. Nobody reads it. Then they go to the meeting in the suit and tie, which is a good thing. Wearing a hat like this one I'm wearing, a good thing. But without anything to offer. And that goes to the point of value. Value is not given. Value is acquired. And to acquire value, you need sacrifice. You need determination. You need dedication, and you need pen. And what is this pen? You forgo what is easy and sacrifice time to study, to read, to understand the grasp of the issues. And I'm building on this before I get to Bulaji, because these aspects you mentioned of time, whether you are a minister or a prime minister or a president or a common person in the society, one thing that God gave each and everyone is time. We all have 24 hours a day. That it means that it's how we use these 24 hours. And we have 365 days a year. It's how we use these 24 hours a day. And across the entire year, if you multiply, we have 60 seconds, that makes 1 minute, 60 minutes, that makes 1 hour. If you multiply 60 by 63,600, you multiply that by 31. You have about 84,000 seconds. You multiply that by 365, you have about 31 million seconds. Every year, we all have 31. So we're all millionaires. But the difference is that how we use that time determines who becomes a millionaire. This is as simple as it is. But this has not been the mainstream narrative. The mainstream narrative, oh, I was born into a family, we are cursed. No, we are poor. No, you've refused to do what is needed. You've refused to sacrifice. You've refused. Others will say, no, I've tried and failed. Yes, keep trying. Keep trying. The more you try, the more experience and the more value you gain. And one day, because you continue to build and enhance your preparation, when an opportunity knocks anytime. I applied for a scholarship 3 times before I got it. I applied for a UN job more than 60 times before I got it. People just see me up there today. They say, this guy is lucky. Lucky in what? And it's not only easy getting to the system. Hard to stay in the system means you have to offer value and you have to be excellent. That means you have to continuously working hard. And these are very simple aspects that a lot of people, that's why I documented this in my book. The process, what is needed to succeed anywhere you are. And so you guys are bringing out very excellent ideas, and I'm very, very proud to have you guys. And I mean, I'm proud of what you all do. And building on this preparedness, Bolaji, it's a big issue. How do you really think youth can be prepared? Because they're very prepared with complaining and blaming it. That one, they score A+. How can they become prepared in solutions space? You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I believe, like what Emmanuel said the other time, that life is hard, and the moment that we come to that grasp that life is not something that it comes to us on a platter of gold, that's when we actually be more. That's when our minds will shift from the we have to, everything will come to us, the government will do this, the everything, like, so the more what we get prepared for, like the way we get prepared is by the youth understanding that life is hard, everything cannot be given to us at every single point in time, and no one is entitled. And I think this is one of the things that kills I think most youth in Africa is the sense of entitlement. The fact that, oh, they believe because let's say their father had maybe their father was friends with the governor or something, they have like automatic access to things and that and that. And to an extent, these people have no obligation to do things for you. And it's necessary that you learn that we ourselves as human beings, we have to understand that first of all, we have to learn to survive on our own. It's not what we shouldn't be living on the fact that, fine, if they help you, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that they help you. You are very privileged. It's very good. But there comes a point in your life whereby you have to realize that things cannot be given to you every single time, and you have to fend for yourself. Like what doctor said now, you said when you go to the position, like you have to constantly keep working hard. Imagine I got there with the privilege of, let's say I was lucky and you got there with let's say you were lucky and you got there with the privilege of, let's say because you knew someone in government and they got there, and you don't have the hard work to provide. Definitely within the space of 1 to 2 years, you'll be backing out. Then you hear someone is retiring or something. Like, and that's it. If like I believe when we youth we see it as, even though you are privileged, even though it was given to you on a platter of gold, if you are not prepared, like what Mano said, if you are not prepared, if you don't have that necessary, or you don't even develop it within that space whereby you have been given that privilege, it's still going to crash, it's still going to fall. And that, like, the failure is inevitable either way. So it's just like what we say, like opportunity, like luck, like the luck. I love that luck. I love that luck aspect. Whereby he said there are opportunities miss preparation. It's true. We might be opportune, and God can you can have the grace of even getting that particular position, But if you are not actually prepared for it, you definitely fail in doing that position. And speaking from experience now, there was like a few years ago, there was a particular role I was given the privilege to serve in. Although I did my own possible best then, but to an extent, I felt like if I had prepared more, if I had given more time to learn more, to understand what this role entailed, I could have done better. Because left to me, I know deep down, although I believed back then that the way I was doing it, I was doing like the best I could, but I know deep down that there's still potentials for me to do more. But the way I took it then was, it was not the best place, it was not the best position, like even for my own current mindset. I know that. So like I said, like once we come to realize the fact that no matter what, that if you don't need to be told. And I believe, I know this might sound a bit brutal, but I think the fact is, some people will never learn until they actually make those mistakes. That's just the thing. But I will still say it in the fact that it's important that you are prepared, because even like you might think everything should be given to you. You might think that there's a silver lining somewhere. There's a maybe there's a god of wealth or something, like someone's going to give you something. But even think about it. Once you are given that specific, once you have been given the opportunity, what will you do? How will you handle it? Will you be able to survive do you have enough capacity to carry on with those opportunities, or you are just going to go there and bring down the hard works of many? Thank you
This
very much,
is,
sir.
look, Obulaji, you've hit the nail on top, you and Esika.
Yes, sir.
The word relevance is very, very important. We must become relevant. And what is relevant? Relevance is, as an individual, what do you have to offer? And this is something that has not been taught even in school, because I think that I have argued that Africa's education needs an education revolution. And it's very simple. What does that mean? We need to get back to the basic and start speaking truth to our young men and women. Education is not just about a certificate. It's understanding that, yes, I will face challenges. Yes, I will fail. Failure is not a problem. Actually, those are the stepping stones to success. It's only when you fail that you learn. But one of the differences is that if you fail and fail forward, that's excellent. But when people fail, sometimes they get discouraged because we've been made to think that failure is a bad thing. Yes, failure is a bad thing if you are doing a wrong thing. But if you are doing the right thing and you fail, it's just a stepping stone. It's just a rung of a ladder for you to climb to another one. Because if you are really genuine in what you are doing, if you apply for a job and you don't get it, and you get a feedback of why you are not given the job, of course, you will prepare and correct those mistakes. It's like we applied for scholarship the first time, we didn't get it. We understood that the motivation letter needed to be recalibrated in a way that is more stronger than the way we did it. It gave us experience. We did it the second time. We learned, and the third time we succeeded. Because I am saying this because a lot of young people give up immediately they fail the first time. And it's also back to our families. I don't think that we prepare, or the way we grew up, we have been prepared that to fail is okay. We've been made to see failure as the worst thing that can happen, as a shameful thing. And so when somebody fails, he now sees it as a burden. That's wrong. No. People should be made to understand that you need to work hard. But if you work hard and for some reason you fail, make another attempt again and you will move forward. And I think this is a very, very important way of this mindset change we are discussing, that at least let's fail forward. And there is a very important aspect you mentioned. Being productive is important. I have seen people who are so eager to get jobs. Immediately they get into the jobs. Within 2, 3 weeks, they give up. And then they lose the job. I always argue that it's very easy even to get an opportunity, but it's so difficult to maintain that opportunity throughout, because you have to give your best, and that needs sacrifice, that needs endurance, that needs dedication, and that needs continuous upping your value so that at least you can be relevant. Imagine the world is becoming so competitive today. What COVID showed was that jobs can actually be done online. That it means that they can be outsourced to anywhere in the world. Of course, that was before, but now it's become prominent that the jobs of the 21st century can be done anywhere. That then means relevancy become more important. That means we need to diversify. What is diversification? Learn different skills. The fact that I have a PhD doesn't matter. I need to learn how to speak. I need to learn how to code. I need to learn technology aspects, how to use Twitter to communicate solutions. I need to be able to ensure that at least you develop the emotional intelligence to engage people and to ask questions and to be friendly with people to be able to establish networks, because your network is your net worth. That's very important. And then the last part, which now I think all of you have mentioned, is that excellence is not an event. Excellence is a habit. Excellence is not an event. Excellence is a habit. But this is not what we are told. And so my question to you, Bulaje, briefly, and then to Isika, and then we'll take a break. And then when we come back now, we'll start to run up, is, are we cursed then? What we are saying here is not rocket science or any magic. It's not juju. What we're saying here is common sense that is needed. But why is this not being embraced? Why is this not being embraced? Why is it not at the center of preaching in churches, in mosques, in our educational system? Why is this not in preaching in our circles of friends? Why is this narrative relegated to the back, and the only thing that is brought to the front is gossip, complaints, and blame game? And then everybody fools arms in the name of not trying to hurt anybody as the problems continue to perpetuate. Why? Yes, Bolaje.
There is. I remember in our last meeting that I said something. I said, people love to a fake world is easier to live in than a real world. So people love the ideology that's okay, and also people. I've come to realize that rather than facing problems, a lot of people enjoy not actually facing those problems. They feel it's easier, and like the normal human nature, the default action is to take the path of least resistance. So I believe, like you said, sir, like how do we, like the preaching of it is what one of the things that matters the most. And like we also mentioned in our previous meeting, the fact that children, like we even started from the lowest part of the community, from the least part of the community, in the families, in the homes, we have to keep saying this, that these are the right way. We have to be prepared. We have to be built in a way that we provide value, not just not just built in just taking value, but built in a way that we give value to other people, no matter where we are. It could be just in doing things. It could be in talk. It could be in speech. It could even in prayers. You just ensure that you're providing value for other people. and and also in our community gathering, and I believe like in churches, mosque, everywhere, like everywhere, everyone needs to create that mindset of building value. Fine, it's easy to live in a fake world, but if you actually realize that, if you actually pay attention to it, like when we live in that fake world, we forgot that the actual world in which we exist keeps dying, and everything around us not stops moving. Let's imagine like people that are now in the great positions right now, like even the government. As much as we don't like them, as much as some people complain about them, if they themselves never actually provided a particular set of value at a particular point, they won't be there. And they won't even like, let's if we can't deny the fact that although many complain about them, yet they still provide value for we in the country. They keep the country in a sane position. If all the government were to go out now, they should just say they are not doing anymore. The whole country will be in disarray. The whole continent, everywhere will be scratching. People will be like, "What's going on?" Then there'll be a war. There'll be anarchy. So even the people that we are complaining, or we are saying that this is their fault and everything, they are providing value. So my question to you is that what value will you provide? And how will you ensure that the next generation too keeps providing value? So when we go out there, when even in the children we see sorry, hello. Okay, sorry. All right. So when we go out there, when we see children, when we see I believe when I see children, I see potentials. like I see that they have a lot of things to provide, but what we have to ensure is that they're actually shaped in the right way, in the path that they should follow. So when you go in the community, people needs to, even as parents, ensure that the children, everyone around you, they are being put in that mindset whereby they are not accepting value. It's not, everything is not about give receiving. Even it's important that we as humans, that we give back to, we that value, that's how we create an excellent society, and that's how we build an excellent mindset, and that's how we build an excellent human, like if there's such a word, like an excellent human, an excellent society. So
Wonderful.
thank you very much, sir.
Bulaji, before I go to Isika and then we take a break,
Yes, sir.
you have hit the nail on top. People love to follow the path of least resistance. And that is why I still go back to this social media thing. And what you have given as an example is the truth. Of course, assuming today all in government go, will those who are complaining, if they take over, will there be a difference? What's the game plan? What's the policies they can implement? Do they have the skills? Are they inspiring one another as citizens to develop the skills so that at least if they were to get into positions of leadership, they can then be able to provide guidance, technical guidance, and inspire one another to act? Because why I'm bringing this up is that the false narrative that things can just happen just because we don't have those we have there at the moment, it's a lie. If you don't have those you have there at the moment, and those you don't have there ready and have the requisite skills, and if they have the requisite skills, who stopped you from doing what you can do in your own space? Who stopped you from learning a skill to be able to develop an app, to be able to design and pass messages on documents or on flyers that people can see and get inspired, to be able to learn a skill to turn agricultural waste into fuel briquettes to replace charcoal? Nobody, nowhere has stopped anybody, but we have stopped ourselves. So the point you are making, very important point, and why I'm re-emphasizing on this, is that example you gave, and you talk about young people and especially kids. Everybody is actually an opportunity. And I said, yeah, each and every one of us is an opportunity for progress, is an opportunity for solutions to be created. But that is not happening. So, Isika, you've heard Bulaje made this very clear illustration with practical examples of reality. Now, knowing what we know, how do we break these ice?
Okay. One way we can break this is by sharing our story. Yeah, we need to raise champions and we need to make champions. First, we need to raise champions and we need to make champions. Now, how can you do this? Is by sharing your story. Mentor others. Yeah, you might look at it and say, I don't have anything. Yeah, I don't have much like the set of Elon Musk, the set of the most successful business caliber out there, the set of the deputy director, but you have something which other people they want honestly. The truth is, what you have is others' prayer point. So what you need to do is to find this set of people, find the willing, mentor them to get to the position of value which you've got into. And when you do this, these people will be able to mentor others. And this is how the value chain of values is being created. Yeah. So this is how we can do it. Just push and push and push and push till the message go out there daily, day by day. Make sure you're transferring what you have to others because this is how you can create generational impact. Please do not wait till you become the most successful people. Do not wait till you become that billionaire. Do not wait till you own that large amount of property you're dreaming of. Do not wait till you become a celebrated icon. Do not wait till you become featured in thousands of newspapers. No, what I'm asking of you now is to start now. It's as simple as that. Start now. What you have now, transfer that to others, and then you will be amazed that these people will appreciate you. Let me be real. I've spoken to about 13,000 youth in Africa, and there are some within my close circle. Like one of my mentees came to me. He's a polytechnic. He's currently doing his HNG. And then he came to me, he said, Mentor, I have 500 to 600,000 right in my account from saving and from work. He said, what do I do? Do I go for comfort? Why do comfortable? And then I had more value to myself. I said to him, I said, what you just need now is to get as much as is needed. Build that value chain, invest, save up, and then you'll be better off. Just pass this thing you've known to others, because it's just that. I do not wait till I got featured in CNN, till I got featured in Forbes before I start reaching out to people. I started even when I have not been featured in any newspaper. I actually started when I was earning 5,000 naira in a month. And today, because of this value I am creating in people and the value I am building, I grew speedily for that, over 5,000% increment, even more than that. And that is just the truth. When you begin to help others, when you begin to mentor others, you yourself, you begin to grow, because they challenge you to become better. They challenge you to become better, to become a better you. And that is how you grow. Thank you so much. So I believe that is how we can do it.
And that is how you grow. Very important points. And you said something that you did not appear on CNN just by sitting and waiting for CNN. And those who are listening out there, I know that people like to appear on TV. TV also look for people with value. TV is a business. They want people who can bring them more views, who can articulate issues with confidence, who can bring value and actually have a grasp of issues they talk about. That's value. And for that to happen, you need to build this over time. And I really like the way Bulaji and Esika are saying this. Value is built over time. Look, we are not where we are today doing what we do just because we just got up in the morning, dreamed about it, and just came to be discussing these issues. Of course, these are from life experience, but it's out of the work we do, making errors, learning from them, falling forward, focusing on how we can be able to touch lives in communities with what we do. Not waiting for a miracle and to become rich before we can start talking. No, that's a lie. It's a false narrative. But I think there is this big point that before I go for break, that I wanted to touch, which is you don't have to have money to start. And the people, oh, how can I start with that money? And some even start even saying, I want to start a business of 1 million US dollars. Then the question is, have you ever even started anything with $50? No, they've never. But they want to start thinking big, to start big. When you support, think big, that's fine, but start small. Start small and manage more. Because first of all, one of the things I keep telling everybody is that when you have tried and failed and succeed with a little, you are a less riskier asset to someone else to invest in you. That's the truth. When you try and fail and learn from it with nothing, somebody can invest in you because he knows that the little he can invest in you, he or she can invest in you, you will make something out of it. That's the real world. And these are things that will not be taught in Harvard Business School or in Lagos Business School or in business schools in the best schools in the world. Forget about that. I'm not saying we should not study, because I know that people love to misconstrue things we say. Education is good. But I'm talking about simple things you'll not learn in school. When you do what you can do with nothing and succeed, the likelihood that you will succeed with more, it's very high as compared to you not doing anything and thinking that when they give you more, you will succeed. That's the truth. Let me just say this, which is real. We are in a food crisis, not only in Africa, but across the world. The Russian-Ukraine war have actually brought challenges that are not only faced by those in Europe, but also those in Africa. Unfortunate as it is, that's the reality in which we are in today. The food crisis in the African continent, importation of wheat almost 80%. Africa imports food over 35 billion every year. Food losses in the agro value chain over 48 billion US dollars each and every year. But during this discussion of the food crisis, which is real, inflation, to get flour, whether it is corn flour or maize flour, if you go to any supermarket, the price has increased. Governments are actually trying to put every economic policy in place to tempt the inflation by increasing interest rates. And this is a serious issue. But I've not heard any youth groups or forums discuss alternatives to food in the continent. We know of cassava, which is a climate resilient crop, which is actually a crop that can survive during droughts and floods, and a crop that can be processed into over 300 products. This is a crop that actually 500 million Africans depend on, but it's not at the forefront. So if we are actually the generation and the leaders of today, to all the youth out there, and we are not preferring solutions when Africa is under an avalanche of challenges, fuel crisis, food crisis, financial crisis now, who do we want to prefer those solutions when at the same time we sit and blame them? A food for thought. We'll be right back. And to those of you who are just joining in, you are at the Mindset Spot, where we discuss how we can be able to see problems differently, to see things differently, to reorientate our mindsets towards seeing challenges as disguised opportunities, and actually discussing reality and moving away from the false narrative that has been perfected year after year and has been made the norm rather than making it the exception. This is why we are here. And if you are joining us, this conversation we're having today is with Esika and Bulaje. These guys are spurring fire here. They're breathing fire and sharing ideas that, regardless of whether you are old or young, well, young at heart for everyone, you will definitely leave here a changed person, because this is what we need, especially now, where each and every one of us must become a solution provider. Guys, again, we are discussing a topic that is quite very fundamental. And before we went for that short break, I was talking about the issue of cassava. And it's not just about cassava. 900 million Africans as we speak today depend on unclean cooking. 700,000 Africans die every year because of indoor pollution. Why? Because they depend on charcoal. Our mothers, our brothers and sisters in communities. It's not their fault. That's the only thing they have. They don't have an alternative. Yet we know that if we were to turn waste, agricultural waste from our farms, organic waste, we can be able to produce briquettes, which can replace this. But this is not the mainstream narrative. So the point I want to bring here is about narratives as we run up. There is profound power in narrative. But for quite a very long time, we've not perfected a narrative of solutions in the continent. We've perfected a narrative of blame game. We've perfected a narrative of complaining. And we've perfected a narrative of what I call a false narrative that sometimes is more conspired. A conspiracy narrative that doesn't add up, that is based on hearsay and gossip. How do we start to break away from this? And to use it, put in pidgin English, how do we chakara this? How go chakara? Esika Emmanuel, and then I go to Bolaje.
Okay. So thank you, doctor, for that. Seriously, that's amazing. One thing, like you said earlier, I think there needs to be conversations on solutions. Yeah, we need to have these conversations, like groups coming together. How can we make this happen? We don't care if we are going global or not, but what we want is we are looking at making a business out of it. Let me say this. Immediately I'm going on from this call, by next month, God helping, I'll be setting up my own cassava business in one plot of land. I know nothing about farming, but I'll be employing minds to do this for me. And amazing, I'm going right there looking for others that are into this business in order to learn from them. Because where there is problem, even as I said earlier, that is where the good man is. And then we need this conversation, seriously. We need conversations on solutions. Who is doing what? And then what can you do to tap into the solutions? Because the little you can contribute to solving this problem and this solution brings about joy, brings about fulfillment, and then it creates wealth even for you, it creates wealth for the society, and it creates wealth for the community. And when we have these conversations and then we have people acting on this, it's just a matter of time before this becomes solved. It's just a matter of time before this becomes so. And that, I will say, I'm really looking forward to what the end result will be like, to finding communities that are into this and then learning from them in order to achieve this. And as I said earlier, I'll be starting mine by this one. God willing. Thank
Excellent,
you.
excellent, excellent, Ezika. That is a wonderful leap in the right direction. Yes, Bolaji, how we go chakara this? How are we going to break away from this false narrative? How we go chakara 'em? How do we chakara this?
Okay, thank you, sir. I believe Emmanuel has actually said it all from my standpoint. Like we look into other people that where this conversation have been held, and how can we, help and also ensure that these things don't die as a dream. Like most people actually have this ideas, these solutions to this problem, but because there's no one to support them, or there's no one to like back them up and everything, these ideas just waver away, or probably it's not being told that should be told. So like Emmanuel said we should look for who is doing what and who is doing that particular problem and how to solve that problem. That's how we'll be able to solve the problem. And so joining communities that speaks about this, and joining communities that says that develop device ideas on how to stop this, how to ensure that productions like cassava now, it's been widespread across the country, whereby it's something that we value, because it's actually very important to us, and it's very important to us as Africans. And if we don't, and we ensuring that we support them, basically we ensure that we support them, and also ensure that we keep preaching that message, and ensure that the speech and everything is being passed from us and everyone around us. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. I mean, this is the truth is that cassava is Africa's goal. And this is a crop that you do not necessarily need even to grow it, but you can start to intervene in the value chain to add value to it, to process it to Gary. Nearly everybody eats Gary in West and Central African region. That's a huge, massive market. Just to tap into it and start to distribute it, to package it, every youth will be able to make money. And they will not say government is not giving us job. I have said this. Government doesn't give jobs to people anywhere in the world. I've lived and studied abroad, and I've worked abroad. Government create enabling environment, and citizens seize the opportunities. People seize opportunities. It's only in Africa that I've heard this word, that we need to be given opportunity. But we are given opportunities every day. Cassava is there. Who stopped us from intervening? Esika has just said that he's going to open his own cassava farm. Bula J is just saying now that he's going to intervene and get into this. You out there, you should do the same thing. And as Mercedes he says here, and you can see on the screen, he said the ongoing food crisis is an opportunity to offer contextual value. And he said it's high time that cassava, which is Africa's super value chain, be explored to the full. But I can tell you for free, you will not hear this conversation anywhere in any youth gatherings. It's about donor money and funding. That's okay, fine. So what? What are you doing? What are you tapping from internal, so that at least when you have support from external, you can be able to move a step forward? I challenge each and everyone out there. This is not a joke. We're not here for applause. I've said this so many times. We are here to debunk the myths, and at the same time try to change this false narrative that life is easy and that things can be done for us. It's a lie. I think Esika and Bula just said something as we ran up. Success is not about money. Success is about the number of lives you touch. That mother in the village who is struggling to dry her vegetables. If you can learn a skill and develop a solar dryer, or you can just be able to connect that mother to people who are making solar dryers, you have touched a life, and that means you have succeeded. That young person out there who is listening to these young men here, they didn't come here for any payment. They're not paid to be here. They just voluntarily came here. Bulaja and Esika voluntarily came here to share their ideas from their experience. And if it can help you out there, it means they've touched your life. That's success. Success is about the number of lives you've touched. It's not about the amount of money you make. It's not about only your family. It's about people you touch their lives that are not even within your immediate family, but people you don't even know. It's about that kid out there who just want to be inspired to know that if I fail, it's okay, but need somebody to inspire him or her. This is the kind of reality we need to put into society. And if everybody can think like this, the multiplicity of challenges we face in Africa will be turned to multiplicity of solutions and opportunities. This is the only pathway for Africa's transformation. Gentlemen, before we run up, people who are listening out there see you two young men, and knowing how the thinking out there is, they think you were made like this. You grew up with opportunity in your hands. So what will you tell them? How did you get inspired to be where you are today? And what made you to speak the way you speak? Please be honest and tell them so that they hear. Over to you, Isika, and then Bolaji.
Okay. I will go first. Thank you so much, Doctor. I would say this. I'm from an underrepresented background. Like, take a look at the context. If someone in Africa, with the way things are hard in Africa, is telling you is from underrepresented background, you know there are degrees to poverty. Yeah. So because then I remembered I have to like pick soap, pull this together, like other ways to use it to bait. That shows I had to go days taking, I think, cassava flour without soup and taking this with water. And then I was contented and satisfied. So, like that is the degree, and this was something recent. But then I begin to learn that there are people out there that had the same background as me, but they've become made, they become something. And then that was when I reached out to people. I begin to share my idea of running an NGO, helping people come out of poverty. While I myself, I was still in poverty then. But definitely, I keep saying this, that share your ideas out there. No one will steal your idea, actually. The reason is because sharing your idea and talking about it, you bring in people, support network to come and support you. And that was when I contacted Dr. Richard. And sincerely speaking, Doctor has been a blessing to help change and transform my mindset. Yeah, because I came on board then with the mindset of complaining. You know, I do complain the educational system is faulty because then I was unable to get a job. Even when my school sent me on internship, I complained the educational system is faulty because then when they ask us, go out there and get a job, what my friends do, they just make a call their uncle, and the next thing, an internship is waiting for them. And I looked at myself and I said, this life is hard. But then I did not allow my back put me to the ground. I said I must do something to change it. And that was when doctor began to teach me about value, creating value, adding value, becoming skillful. And then I begin to amass skill. I begin to become valuable gradually. Before you know, employers abroad, such as India, begin to demand for me to come and work in their company. Employers in US begin to pick up on me to come and work in their company. In UK, they begin to call me to come and work in their company. And that was when it begins to show that, okay, I was sharing my story out there on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and then I'm becoming valuable. I'm talking about how I could add value to that company. I could add value to that organization. So you can see the gist of all the conversation. The first thing that happened with me is that first I realized that my mindset needs to change. I changed my mindset. The next thing is I learned that value needs to be created. I begin to create value. Right now, I'm creating value. And I can tell you this, that the amount I'm earning today, the person I am today, when you check me out in months' time, in years' time, you will see this guy becoming more successful. It's not luck. It's just that I'm building that process currently. I'm building that process. I'm telling you, I'm going into cassava farming. The reason I'm doing this is because I've been thinking of developing other streams of income. And then I'm seeing cassava farming as a means to an end. And then I'm going into it. Not because I have an expertise in there, but I'm going to learn how to succeed, learn what other people are doing there to fail. And then I apply their principle, and definitely I'm going to get my results. It's just as simple as that. It's just that. So now when I create value, I begin to share my story out there. It's as simple as that. You get the idea, you share your story, you share what you are doing to get there, and you begin to attract the right network. Remember, doctor said in the middle of this conversation, he said your network is your net worth, is your skill, is your knowledge, is your excellence, and that is all. Because they are the one that will help you to become who you want to be. So that is it. And that is what I have done so far. This is what I am doing currently. And that is what I'm going to do in the future. And this is why we
Wow.
always remember. Thank you so much.
Wow, wow. Thank you very much, Izika. Thank you very much, very much. And one of the things that you highlighted there is the ability to listen and learn, because guidance can be given. But if you don't listen to learn, then it is not going to help you. And thank you for being a very loyal, innovative volunteerism actor in terms of picking guidance and doing what you can do and touching lives. Yes, Bolaji, people watching you now may think, oh, these guys are just talking like this because their bread was butter. Now, who butter your bread now? Make you explain for people out there now. Now your bread be butter, or you worked, you listen to advice and rose up to where you are. So, how has it worked for you that has made you to be very inspired?
Okay, sir. Oh, thank you, sir, for that question. Well, personally, growing up to like the way when they say so people think that you probably landed in money or something probably because you're so calm, you're just so positive at times and everything. But because I personally growing up, there are days whereby I know that I might not even eat like in a whole day or something. I'll be so hungry, so tired and everything. But one of the things that gave me the drive, and it's still giving me the drive right now, is that I know that even I should not take that as an excuse to stop me from going to where I want to go to. Because if I actually just sit down, do nothing, and just let that situation where I'm in engulf me, I will become like I'll become ridiculously lower than even the part I am right now. And that drive of not giving up, that drive of not succumbing to that situation is what keeps me. Because if you've tasted, and I think like what Emmanuel said the other time, if you've actually tasted what the essence of, let me say, poverty is, it's not something you want to go back to. It's something that you definitely want to escape from. And like I believe it's, if for you even having that because at times I count as a privilege. Because when I see it at times, I understand, like the way I like the day I went, there was a day that I think I went for almost 2 days. I was so hungry, but based on the fact that I had low income or something, I couldn't eat, and I noticed that that gave me the privilege to actually show more care to others and actually be a better person. Because ever since then, I realized that when I go on the street and I see someone hungry, the way I feel uh that that hunger, the way the person is at that present time, it's way different than if I've never actually been through the experience. So the first thing I do is, for everywhere I am in a current situation and everything I go through in life and everything I've been through in life, first of all, I'm grateful for that. That although it might not be the most pleasing, it might not be the most pleasing circumstance, might not be the most pleasing situation, but I'm grateful that I have this. I have the privilege of experiencing it, and I'm grateful that I won't be there anymore. That it's just a reminder of where I am not. I'm not meant to be. So so what I do personally is, like, take for example, now before we started the conversation, I remember doctor was asking me something. So I said I wanted to, like, change a particular passion that I'm when it's like that's software engineering and everything, that learning how to do it. I've actually had this in my mind for years, and I said, okay, this year let me take over, let me do this. And that's it. Self-development, it never ends. And even for over the past few months that I've started it now, I've learned so much. I'm happy. Although I'm not like, but the thing is, there's a goal. Once you have a goal in your mind and you set a target to it, and also like we said the other time, like your network is your net worth. I remember like recently, I even recently I spoke with Emmanuel. Yeah, I was like, I've been learning this thing for a while now, like it's time to put my work to test and everything, and we're discussing on how we'll take things further and everything. And that's it, surrounding yourself with the right people and welcome to people. Like I remember, like basically, I'm very grateful for even being part of this environment, being part of team, and being mentored by doctor. I remember yesterday we were talking, and I said something. I used a particular word, and doctor was like, "No, no, you're not that." And later, like even that alone was like a mind opener. Yes, I shouldn't be saying this word about myself. I shouldn't speak this kind of things about myself. That I should think better. So that alone, it's something that brings you up. Like ensure that one, first of all, be grateful for where you are at that present point. Be grateful that you first of it's a very beautiful thing that even though no matter the situation you are going through at that present point in time, you are alive and well. You are okay. You are able to breathe. You're not struggling for something that is so detrimental. You're just, it's a process. Enjoy the process, be grateful for it, but don't relax in that process. Ensure that you keep chasing that part. You might not be there yet. For some people it might be 1 year, for some people it might be 2 years, some people it might be 3 years, but no matter how long it is, just keep going for it. Just don't give up. Like doctor said, he said he applied 60 times. Like I'm like 60 times. Like, and that's it. For some people it might be 300 times, some people might be 100, and some people might just be once. It might just be once. But regardless, that does ensure that your dream doesn't die. Whenever your dream is dying, like personally, I've like for the past few years, there are points whereby I'll get whereby I would want to give up. Like I'll be like, oh, this is, you definitely get there. Everyone has gotten to that point, that verge of giving up. But what's like, even the time you're alive, what you're able to do, that's why it's good to ensure that you surround yourself with the right mindset. That's the second thing. First of all, be grateful. The second one, after you've been grateful, ensure that you don't relax where you are. Don't relax where you are. Have a goal, keep going. And the third one, surround yourself with the right people,
Hmm.
because those are the people that will definitely lift you up at some point. You can't, and I keep saying it, human beings were not designed to be alone. You know, even in the Bible, in the Bible, that it got to a point God saw that man needed a companion. No one is designed to be independent. That's why we keep seeing it across. I say someone says a companion of fools will destroyed, be utterly destroyed, but he who is wise will attain more wisdom. Like that's like, he who surrounds them people that are wise will attain more wisdom. That's the thing. We will always be found in a group of people. We will always be found in a certain environment. But what matters the most is that what environment are you found in? And that's
Right.
what's helping me right now. That's what's helping me right now. Like even with the, like, for example, now I said something that I was like, I walk past some place and some people were talking about the government and everything. Now I could choose to stay there and let that negativity derail me and start saying, oh, because the government is bad, because the government is this, that, I should give up. But no, I like, you have that choice. For every man on it, you have that choice to go higher. You have that choice to remain where you are, and you have that choice to go lower than where you are. So,
Wonderful.
like I would say, like my final word for this part will be, you
Right.
have
Your
the,
final word as we run up. This is
as we
amazing. Yes,
round off,
give me
yeah,
your
as we
final
round
word,
off,
then I go to Sika and we
yes,
run up.
yes, sir.
Amazing discussion.
As we round off, is that first of all, like, you have a choice. Like I said earlier, you have a choice. You can either wallow in your defeat or come out stronger. Everyone needs to be tested. It's a necessary process of life. We are all going to be tested. But what matters the most is that how well we are, even though you get burnt by the fire, but what matters the most is how well you're going to stand up and take over. and fight again. And like I said earlier in the beginning of the this forum, was that everybody, like, don't think the big people out there don't have a problem. Everybody at every particular stage of life have a particular problem, whether it's mental, whether it's health-wise, whether it's physical, whether it's everybody has a problem. So don't think life is perfect. Life is not perfect. We all go through it. It's all process. The great, the small, the medium. Every one of us have a process. We have processes, and the earlier we defeat it, the better we become.
Wow.
It's a choice. That's how I would say it. Thank
Choice
you very
is a
much.
choice. Is a choice. And as you are speaking,
Yes,
Mercedes,
sir.
he said, have a goal, don't give up, don't relax, surround yourself with a person so it summarizes what you say. And
Yes, sir.
more importantly, choices are there for your making so you can wallow in defeat or emerge stronger. Big time, big time. And I think choices have consequences, as they say, and it's true. A choice to go relax when you are supposed to be studying, you have the consequence of failing the exam. A choice of joining complainers in chief and ending of draining energy and nothing changes is a choice, but it has consequences. So I think these are very, very important points you've raised. Surrounding yourself with the right people and seeing challenges as disguised opportunity. And challenges build us to survive. And being poor is not a problem. It helps you build
Yes, sir.
resilience. And I think that people say, oh, poverty is the worst thing that ever happened. Poverty is the best thing that helps you know what to do, how to do it, and become passionate and become hungry for solutions and hunger for things that can be able to make a difference in your life and other people's life. That's how we grew up. That's how some of us are where we are today and we still survive. Yes, Esika, your last word. We've heard from Emmanuel. His last word sums up in three. Don't relax. Surround yourself with the right people and make sure that at least you become a solution provider. What says you?
Okay, my last word will be never get too comfortable.
Mhm.
Never get too comfortable. No matter where you are, always hunger for more, 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 because that is just the secret sauce to growth. And then ensure that you always learn at every point. Learn at every point. Learn from people, learn from those that have gone ahead of you, learn from failure. And I will end with this. Somebody said, he said, a fool do not take action. He said, one who is wise, he said, take action, fails, and learn from failure. But a smart person, he said, learn from others' failure and implement their principle. So be that smart person in the room. Learn from other people's failure, implement their process, and you will get their results. Thank you so much.
Wow, 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 wow. Learn from other people's failures, never get complacent, and learn every day and diversify your options because that's what makes you resilient and that's how you can be able to become a solution provider. Ladies and gentlemen, and to all those who tune in today watching, this has been a show, The Mindset Spot, where you've heard from Isika and Bolaji dissecting the issues as only them can do it, using life experiences and reality and giving snippets on how we can debunk and turn this false narrative that has engulfed the continent and start to do that which is right. Anytime we are here is the mindset spot to set the record straight and to debunk the false narrative that has engulfed the continent. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time is the mindset spot. Bye bye for now.